So again, let's talk about our tileable setup here. Okay? So I'm starting with a grid, right? And then I'm using the array mesh to set this up. So turn on array mesh, repeat repeat of 2 means I have 2 in total, so 1 copy. Right? And again, this is like a instance mesh inside of Maya. I'm going to offset it by 2 in the X, right, so that it tiles perfectly over onto the other side. Then I'm going to lock the position, right? And you can also lock the size so everything's kind of locked in there and it doesn't move, right? And you can see if I grab my brush, hey, it updates, hooray, cool. Pardon me. Then what I want to do is I want to insert or append a new stage, right? So we have 2 stages with this where we have 1 stage and then another one, right? Again, with this, we are going to offset the new stage in the Y to 2 as well. 2 is the perfect tiling amount, right? Why are you making a liar out of me? Two there. Let me append another one. Just turn that off. So append a new one. So second stage, offset. Y in 2. Yeah, okay, Y in 2. I don't know why insert changed that. That's weird. Anyways, so now I have 4, right? Which allows me to set this up, right? So I can sculpt on these if I want to, right? And I can divide this. Actually, you know what? Instead of soft subdividing that, because it'll shrink in, turn off your smooth subdivision, right? And you can subdivide that, delete the lower. It's just an array mesh, right? So it's just a copy. And now, right, if I want detail on there, right, if I just want to do a repeating pattern, right, all the way through, now I have that set up. Right? You can see, all right, that's going to go all the way over there, but you're going to notice it does deform a little bit, right? So something that's a little bit more interesting to use is our IMMs, right? Or the nanomesh, which is just a different kind of IMM. Right? You don't have to use these ones. You can use any of them. Let's see, we could do the body parts. There we go. We'll have different body parts all over the floor here. Right? And then we could insert one right here. Right, there we go. Why is that moving? It was a moving before. Maybe we don't want to subdivide. It shouldn't really matter. Sorry. Okay, now we do want to lock size. Okay, there we go. So once you have the second copy in place, right, you do want to lock size and position on both of these, right? Both copies of my array mesh inserts, right? So that whenever I start doing this, right, Nick can have as many of these as we want. Right? You can see, we can set this up and get a little tileable, right? With a little bit more work, we can set it up and do something like this. Right? And then when we're all done, turn that off. Save this off as an alpha in our from mesh. And then we've got a nice little tileable there. Alrighty. Yeah, and I guess if I didn't have anything going past the horizon, then I get an even cleaner insert. There we go. Even cleaner capture of that alpha. Right? So again, you can use this for a lot if you have a tileable pattern that you just want to make yourself, right? You can set this up and then you'll have something that you can use in a lot of different ways. So I'll set this up and then I'll just do some wooden planks basically, right? And I could do this with something that's subdivided, it has lots of details, something that's completely finished. I could do it with something that's pretty simple. There's lots of different options, right? These are just some of the basic IMMs that we'll get, right? I can make my own. There we go. There we go. And we can make our own pretty easy. Initialize cube. Let's just make it a little bit longer in Y. There we go. Wooden planks. And maybe I'll subdivide them afterwards. But if I want to add this to my insert mesh library, make an IMM, I'll go to my brush library, look at the bottom, create a insert mesh. This is an insert mesh brush, so if I want to append it to add it to the library, I'll just hit append. If I want to make my own brush, I'll hit new. This is easy enough that I can just grab it right there. Right? And if I go back to this, set this up and say, all right, we're going to have this little insert here with that. Line it up. There we go. Change the scaling. Change the tiling, whatever I need to do with that. Right? Make sure I have a nice little pattern with it. There we go. Good. Another one in there. Right. And the nice thing about this is you can see on the insert, right, how everything's going to line up. So I can start making this a little bit unique if I want. I can change some of the spacing, some of the length, some of the rotations. Create myself a nice little tileable, and then if I notice there's a weird little gap here, I can fill it in. Maybe with a teeny tiny little chunk. Make sure everything lines up as I want. Play around with things like depth if I need to, rotations, right? And sculpt up the resulting planks as well. Right? Or whatever little pattern I'm trying to make. You're not limited to just wooden planks or stones or anything, right? I could do this with scales. I could do this with any number of different things, right? Just have to get creative with it. Which is kind of fun, because I like getting creative with this, right? So here, I'm trying to line that up in a similar way. Watch my rotations carefully, but then I have to worry about the length, right? You can always adjust your pivot with this stuff, scale it on down, scale it so it's tiling just perfectly right down there. Maybe I need to watch the varying lengths of these, so I'll have to go back and adjust different ones. There. Right. As you're doing this, don't forget to go in and create new auto groups, right? That's going to be key to being able to isolate and adjust, right? So I can hide with Control Shift while in brush mode. I can also isolate with Control Shift in Move, Scale, Rotate widget mode, right? And then I can say, you know what, maybe it'll be a little bit better if this is a little bit shorter. And if this one is a little bit more balanced, there we go, maybe move the pivot to the end, right, so that I can change the variable length up pretty quickly. And I just have to match it up with the other end of that. Go back, keep adjusting this, right? Again, maybe it's this one that needs to change. So I get a little bit better of a tileable, right? And I can spend as much time with this as I feel like. Oops, sorry, that's in brush mode. There we go, that's a little better. There we go. Now I'm watching the bottom here just to make sure I'm tiling with the bottom of the other object. And my pivot's not where I want it to be. It's kind of frustrating. That's okay. We'll make it work. Here we go. So now it tiles on there, now it tiles all the way through, and voila. Fantastic. Keep working on that.